All right, so we are going to be talking about the credit cards again because we have people that are still a little bit confused about how we're going to be using the credit card. Okay, so when we talk about the credit cards, you're talking about a revolving line of credit, and people get really, really frustrated and upset over the credit card and what that looks like. The credit card, I don't think is all bad. The point being that we can control it a little bit. So if you can control something that has a payment, then you're going to be able to feel a little bit more comfort when it comes to how you're going to use that line of credit. So I've got a credit card scenario here that I've been working with again this morning. The thing being that if people understood how to use the revolving line of credit that is also a credit card, then you learn really quickly that it's not to pile it up. Because if you understood how the credit card worked, then you wouldn't have credit card debt necessarily because you would have been using it correctly from the get-go. All right, so let's talk about the scenario that we have right here. An American Express at 25,000. This person was super stressed out over these credit cards. Because they are high. I mean, this is a lot of debt now, but had she known how to use her credit cards previously, she would not be in this situation right now. So, income $5,600 per month, and she is paid on a daily basis because she's some kind of massage therapist or whatever, so she's paid daily. The American Express has a $713 payment per month. The American Express 2 has a $49 payment with a $1,900 balance. The American Express 3 is a $10,600 balance with a $362 payment per month. Chase $2,800 with an $81 payment. City $14,506 per month. And then Best Buy is $700 at $29 per month. Now this is super stressful. This is super stressful because she's throwing a lot of money away every month on credit card debt. So we're talking about $1,500. Is that about right? Yeah, $1,500 per month is going to credit card debt. So let's imagine that she is paying 20% interest, which some of these cards have higher than 20%. But if she's paying a 20% interest, you're talking 25,000. Well, if I could use my calculator. 1,900, 10,600, 2,800, 14,000, and 700. So that's $55,000 in credit card debt per month. I'm sorry, in credit card debt. And then at 20, because we're considering what her interest might be. So times 20%, which would be low for a credit card right now, you're talking about $11,000 for a year of interest. Okay, so let's divide that by 12. $917 approximately is going to interest only. So how much is she actually paying in payments? Well, let's just add them up. 713, 49, 362, 81, 506, and 29. She's paying $1,740, so over $1,500 per month. And she's paying $917 in interest only. So $823 of her actual income is going to pay down the debt. So let's take 55,000 divided by 823, if we could do that. So that means in 67 months, making the same 1740, she would be getting close to paying off her debt. So this is over 5 years, right? So the point is, had she known how to use these credit cards from the get-go, this never would have happened. And that's super, super discouraging when we've got people in debt like this and they didn't necessarily have to be. And what I call her a spender, what I say, well, you know, Dave Ramsey says that had you not gotten your idiot self in this mess, you know, you wouldn't be struggling right now. And I agree. I mean, yeah, okay. If you hadn't charged this up, then you wouldn't be struggling right now. But what if you had known how to use the credit card and you wouldn't have allowed it to get piled up? When I had credit cards back when I first learned about velocity banking, I was totally unaware of how to use it. Totally unaware of how the credit card worked. And yeah, I knew that you made these minimum payments every month. Sure, I knew you did that, but I had no idea that you could take control of the credit card by how you were using your income. So let's talk about that really quickly because I don't have a lot of time with you. I'm jumping in because this was a lady I just worked with. So let's see what we could do in the situation. Now, if you watch previous lives, I've been talking about this a lot because it's important that you learn how to use the credit card so that you're able to avoid this craziness. And getting out of it now is a little tougher because she has limited cash flow. Let's talk about that. So let's add up the payments. What'd I do? Did I just knock out the Best Buy? I did. So it was only a $700 balance. So we're going to take the payments here. $62, $81 again, and $506. So let's take these. $1711. And then we're going to show her income, which was $5,600. And then she has a mortgage. We're not going to be talking about the mortgage, but it is $1,500 per month. Yeah, that's a whole different animal, but she's got to get some cash flow because she's limited on her cash flow right now. So 5,600. Oh my goodness, I can't use my numbers. 5,600. Let's subtract out the mortgage and then the 1,711. So you're talking about 2,300. Is that right? Yeah. 2,300 is left over and she has 1,460 in living expenses. So what does that mean? She has 2,300. We'll do my numbers again. That doesn't sound right. 1,500, 1,711 is 3,211, and then add the 1,460. Now we're talking. So total expenses per month is 4,671. She has a 5,600 income. So $929 is her cash flow every month. So I'm going to write 929 cash flow up here, so don't forget it. And now let's start working on the credit cards. Okay, so if she starts with the American Express, and with her living expenses, we're going to show, she could show 1,200 that she can actually pay in living expenses. So with the credit card, okay? So you can charge your food, your gas, your car insurance. You know what you can charge with a credit card. If you don't, go find out. But hers is 1,200 per month. So she would take the American Express if she wanted to. This is one idea on gaining cash flow. She would subtract out, meaning she would pay into this credit card $1,200. So when she puts 1,200 income in, that is to take care of her food, her gas, her car insurance per month, okay? So she would charge it back out of this American Express. But what happens when the income goes in to the card? It satisfies this $713. Why? Because you're putting more than $713 in to cover these expenses every month. So the same thing she could do with the American Express. If she wanted to divide these up, she could put a few hundred in this one, then a few hundred just to cover the monthly payments here. That's what's going to satisfy the monthly payments. Then she brings in the cash flow. So her cash flow here was $929 plus $713. So let's add that up. $929 plus $713. That's $1,642 in new cash flow. I am really crowding this in, but stay with me. And if you're just not catching on, then you can go back and rewatch this video. Okay. So we put the 1,200 into the 25,000. So 23,800 to cover our chargeable expenses every month. Now the balance is down. It's going to help with the interest a little bit. Then she can take her cash flow if she's going to work to pay this card off. All right, so this is the cash flow she has available now. What happens if she takes and puts the cash flow into Chase for the first month? It almost wipes that out. It almost wipes out this one if she uses this cash flow into this card so that she's gaining $81, or she could take the cash flow, put into this card, gaining her $362 per month, or the cash flow, or divide up the cash flow and put it into these cards. So the point is that your income is going into whichever card, and I usually start with the largest monthly payment, so that as your income goes in to cover your chargeable expenses, you're satisfying that monthly payment. Now, I've been going over and over this the last few days because I just got out of another appointment. She had no idea that you can do this with the credit cards. You can. This is a revolving line of credit. Now, these are for chargeable expenses because this is a credit card. I'm saying that again and again because you don't want to put your house payment into a credit card, the money that you're going to pay with your house payment, because you cannot charge your house payment with a credit card. So you only want to do chargeable expenses, okay? So the point being that if she decided to break up her expenses to figure out what all is actually chargeable, because right now this was food, gas, and car insurance, which I think she probably spends a little bit more on food than what she actually had listed here. But the point is you can charge the food, the gas, the car insurance, the medical bills, the subscriptions. What else, guys? You can charge a lot of stuff on a credit card. And if your income's going in to take care of that expense, then you're satisfying this payment if the amount you're putting in is over your monthly payment. Now, does that pay it off? No, that doesn't pay it off. You're going to be paying your expenses. You'll still need to do something with this new cash flow. So if she handled her cards correctly, she would be satisfying the 713 with some income, the 362, the 506, if she can find enough chargeable expenses to be putting the income in here. Okay. The point being that we want to use our income to serve us and not just throw it away in these interest payments that she's making on these credit cards. I calculated that at 20%. And she was throwing away a lot of money just to interest. The point is we've got to pay these off. So if you have a low credit card, and if you're starting low on these balances like I did, because I couldn't even get approved for a credit card that was of any value, thank the good Lord, I guess, before I learned this. But if you have $1,000 balance and it's maxed out, then do you spend $1,000 in food? If you have a $500 credit card and it's maxed out, 700, 800, 1,500, if you're on the lower end of what these credit cards can be, then why in the world are you not using it for your expenses? Some of you guys are struggling just like I did at the beginning, where you have no cash flow because you are paying for food and gas for 2 kids and yourself and a husband who won't work. I mean, there's all kinds of situations out there, and you may not even be in a situation to have credit cards that have limits this high. A lot of you don't. I never was able to. The point is using the credit cards as revolving lines of credit is going to save you, I guess, the stress of ever getting in over your head like this, because you know how to use that credit card. You know, the lady I was just working with, she wasn't aware that had she had a line of credit, she wouldn't have even been in this type of situation. We're not taught how to use the tools of the bank. You know, we have these gurus out here telling us, oh, just take your income, okay? Every dime you can get, go get the second job and throw that extra cash flow into the mortgage. Well, 2 things are going to happen. One is people are going to think, well, if I throw my cash flow, if I throw my last $50 into that large mortgage balance to pay it off, and then I need $50 next week, no, I'm not going to do that because I'm going to need it. So I'm just going to not to throw it onto my mortgage. And then what happens? You end up spending it somewhere anyway. And then you beat yourself up and you say, well, had I put that $50 into my mortgage every month for the last year, I wouldn't owe this much on the mortgage. Okay. And then you got the second type of person that says, well, I think that I would just rather put it in a savings account and let it build up, and then I'll make an extra payment towards the mortgage. Okay, so if you're like I was, when that $50 would go into the savings and sit over there, now you're like, okay, I need that tomorrow, and you pull it right back out and use it again, so you never build up a savings account. Okay, so I was both of those people. One, I couldn't imagine putting my extra income, the little baby extra that I even had a month, and throwing it into that large mortgage to where when I needed it, I could not pull it back out. I was stuck. So I just was not going to do that. I would not do that today if I didn't know about lines of credit. I would not be throwing my last 50 bucks, 25 bucks, $10, whatever it is that the guru says for you to be transferring off into these large loans. Because guess what? You're going to absolutely have to turn around and need that money again. That's just life. It's going to happen. So I'm not going to do it. I'm not throwing the extra cash flow into a loan. Now I'm going to get a line. I'm going to get the line that revolves. So guess what? I can chunk onto my mortgage, but that's the line of credit going into the mortgage. I'm throwing my income and my cash flow back into that line to work that balance down that I paid to the mortgage. Then if something comes up and I need an extra 50 bucks, I'll go to my line of credit and draw it out. That's the difference between the loan and the line. I have said all of this to get around to the loan and the line are two different tools. One revolves and you can pull right back out of it again, and one does not. Once your money goes in, it's in there and you're not getting it back out unless you refinance, and that's exactly what they want you to do. Okay, so I hope that I try to talk to you guys the way I need to be talked to, like I'm 5. Because if I can make it very clear to you what it looks like when using these bank tools and what it means to use different bank tools, to the point that you understand what that actually means, and you know when you look at your tools at the bank or you go to the bank to get a tool, that you know exactly how to use that, then you're not going to get in this mess again. You're not going to get into the personal loans. You're not going to cash the check that comes through the mail. Okay, but if you don't know, you don't know. The point is that you're probably discouraged right now because you are in this situation, or maybe worse, or maybe not so bad. But the point is you're in a financial situation that you want to get control of your debt. And what does that mean for you? Go through the videos. They're free. You can't be saying something isn't helpful if you're not watching the videos to figure out, what is going to be the best situation or the best tool for you to use in your situation. If you're just not aware, then watch more videos, because every video has a different scenario. Every video may talk about a different option that you have. The money max, that may be an option for you. I had a lady earlier because she was in a negative cash flow, but yet she was paid bi-weekly. I thought, well, the money max may be your answer. I've seen the money max take 29, 30-year mortgages and bring it down to 5, 6, 7, 8 years. That's 2 decades of no longer making payments just because you chose an option, a strategy that will work for you. If you don't know what the money max is, we're having a webinar tonight. You're welcome to join us. That's at 7 p.m. Central Time. If you don't have a line of credit yet, try to get one. They're pretty easy to get if you have over a 640 credit score. 650 gets even better options. 680, you're moving into a HELOC. The point is there are options out there, and you are going to get out of this debt. You just have to figure out which strategy you're going to use. If you need to improve your credit score, work on revolving those credit cards more. I have videos that talk about that. Go to the playlist under the credit card debt strategies and see if one of those videos doesn't line up with exactly where you're at. It's free, people. You just have to get yourself educated into how you're going to handle your debt and be excited about it. All of those mistakes, that's yesterday. Those are gone. We're here now, and there's nothing but bright lights in the future. But you make it happen. You have to decide that you're done with doing stupid, that you're done with not understanding how the bank works, and you're going to be forever from here on out in control of your debt because you know what options you can use. Again, if you want to join us tonight and see an overview of what the Money Max is, join us. That's completely free. It's completely free for you to get educated. YouTube runs all day long. You just type in the search what you want to see, and by golly, it's going to pull it out and let you see it. But if you're sitting there depressed and you think there's no way out of this, or if you're like I used to be, where you're smothering because you don't have a dime to your name and you've worked all of your life and you have nothing to show for it, then step out of that cloud, get clear about what it is that you can do with your own situation. I am tickled to no end to share this with you because I love to see you guys getting free. And I work with people every single day that are in your situation. And I very seldom have one that I have to refund because guess what? There's no options for you. I've probably done that 5 times in all the years. So there's options. You're just not aware. And guess what? You're here now and you're going to figure it out. And I want you to figure it out. I'm excited for you to breathe again because I know you can do this. If I can do it, anybody can. So I am going to sign off of here because I have another call coming up. Let's see. Do we have anything that I can answer right quickly? Hi Herbert. I never say that people are in a situation because they're stupid or because they, you know, I don't like that. It's your fault. I don't think it's our fault. I think that we were taught one way to do banking, that you were taught you had to get a loan to buy a home. You were taught you had to get a loan to buy a car. You were taught to make minimum monthly payments on your credit cards. And when you have been put in those situations, then to say that it's your fault that you're in debt, 5 years later, 10 years later. I worked with one today. I'm going to share this right quick and I have to go. I was so aggravated when I first signed on and I saw the worksheet because this person has not even signed for the home yet. He's going to one day this week. And they let him get a mortgage that the payment is going to take 41% of his net income. Do you know what net means? Net means what he actually brings home. The payment is going to be 41%. And you know what else? He had an IRS debt. I know, right? He had a personal loan. He had 3 small credit cards, and he had a car loan. And by the time he ate, and paid his car insurance and paid some gas, he's not going to have any money per month to buy clothes, to go to a movie, to go to a restaurant, and certainly not vacations. Because now, starting, I guess, June 1st, he's going to have a large house payment. And do you know why it's large? Because it's over 6%. Do you know what that meant that he's actually paying in interest volume? 118% plus. And you wonder why we can't breathe financially, which makes us not want to breathe physically, which makes us get into marital strife because of situations like that. And we've got gurus on YouTube right now, probably at this moment, screaming at people, calling them idiots, saying it's your fault because they were never taught how to use the bank. I am crazy done with rambling, but wow, I get really, really frustrated in watching everybody that comes to me talk about things like that. And had I gotten a hold of that guy first and said, hold on a minute, let's see what you can do with a first lien HELOC here. Let's avoid that $20,000 that you're paying in the origination fee for the mortgage. So it's just super important that you educate yourself just so that you, if you're in this mess, you can start getting out. Pull yourself up out of the weeds and look around, because we're down in the weeds when we're in these messes and we're just crawling inch by inch and you're never finding your way out. But if you come up and, you know, what is the step away from the tree so you can see the forest? You're right up against it right now and you feel like there's no options, but there's a whole world of options out here for you to get out of debt. You just need to get educated so that you know what those options are. I hope you'll join us tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time to learn about the Money Mex. If you don't know, that's a really good source. But if not, get out there and start looking for the line. But start watching videos first so that you know what you're looking for and what that line of credit is going to do for you if you use it correctly. It's all about using the tools at the bank correctly. Okay? All right, I'm going to jump off of here. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. Hopefully see you tonight. If not, I will see you in the next video. Have a good day.